meeting will now come to, the Braintree Board of Health meeting will now come to order via a Zoom meeting. This is December 3rd, 2020 at 7 p.m. Present, Department of Municipal Licenses and Inspections, Mary Beth McGrath, and Director. Dr. Philip Nettleman, Vice Chairman, Dr. Arthur Bergoli, Chairman. Board of Health meeting agenda, December 3rd, 2020, 2 pages. Approval of the minutes, November 5th, 2020, 3 pages.
I've looked at the minutes and I approve them as read.
I'll second that motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
As you know, because it's a Zoom meeting, you also need to do roll call. So Dr. Bergoli,
Yes.
Dr. Nettleman.
Yes.
Thank you.
List of complaints received from November 2nd, 2020, December 1st, 2020. Mary Beth will discuss.
So as is with last month, all of the complaints that we're getting in now are all COVID related. And the 2 COVID type relations that their complaints are coming in on are employees and or patrons not wearing face coverings. And also no social distancing occurring, for example, in like tables that the tables aren't 6 foot apart, or that persons in retail stores are not, spacing themselves 6 foot apart, or the employees the same. So all of the complaints are coming in now that they're all COVID related. And those are the 2 top items, at least for this past month. Those are the 2 items that they have been, those 2, face covering and social distancing.
Okay.
So, and we have about probably 2 dozen of those types of complaints.
That's informational only.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, new business. 1, request for keeping of animals permit. A, Dominic Candelera, 125 Grove Street, 8 chickens. Application and supporting documentation, 24 pages, plus regulation, 3 pages. Mary Beth?
Okay, so I will be presenting for the applicants this evening because the 3 were not able to join the meeting, but I feel very comfortable doing that for them. Mr. Dominic Candelari has been a long-standing member of the community in Braintree. He owns a salon in town, and as I mentioned, has been a resident for many, many years. He lives at 125 Grove Street. In your packet, you have on the 4th page in the large colored plot plan that shows where his property is in relation to other properties or other streets and roadways in Braintree. So he's on Grove Street. He's between Grove Circle. His driveway would be between Grove Circle and Sunnyside Lane on Grove Street. He has a very large and long property. If you look at your 2nd page in on the packet, he is requesting for the keeping of 8 chickens. Mr. Candelari has had chickens unbeknownst to us on his property because his property is somewhat hidden back. It's got a very long driveway and a very long property in the back. And he's had chickens, he said, for over 40 years. We discovered that he had chickens because we received a complaint about the presence of a rooster. And you know what roosters do, so that's where a complaint came from. Mr. Candelari immediately addressed the rooster situation and had the rooster removed from the property, so he no longer has it. But in the midst of all that, we had to inform him that he needed to be permitted to keep those chickens, which he was very happy to do. He went ahead and got all of the sign-off notification from the direct abutters. He's got a existing chicken coop house. It's a little house he's built with a large fenced-in run that's attached to the house, which is off the back of his very large shed. It's an old property, so he's been there a long time, and it's quite a large building. Very nice internal coop because I was able to walk inside of it. The chickens, I can assure you, are being very, very well cared for. They have a very nice chicken condo, if you want to call it that, and he uses the manure to place it in his garden, which he has a very extensive garden. He's from Italy, and he likes to garden. So I don't foresee any problem with the keeping of the chickens. He has 7 chickens now, but requested for a permit for 8 chickens because he just lost one and he may obtain another one if that's okay.
Yeah, quite a few abutters.
He did.
How many?
Because
How
the
many?
property is so large, that's why he has a lot of abutters, because it's so long
Right, right.
that he butts a lot of people on either side of him. I'm sorry, Dr. Nelman?
How many abutters do you,
He
did he
has,
count?
Looks like
One.
7.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, because the property next to him, he owns that piece too, so he has 7.
Wow.
But
Okay,
he noticed, I believe he even went over that. He 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he noticed 7 of the neighbors.
very
I saw
good.
no issues with it, plenty of room, plenty of distance between
Tons of
any of the
room.
neighbors.
I mean, if you didn't know he had these chickens, you would never know he had them, because you cannot even see them off of the roadway, and even to some of his neighbors, they're so far off, even though, because his property is so big that you can't even really tell that he has them.
I move it be approved.
I second the motion. All in favor? Aye.
Dr. Bergoli,
Yes.
Dr. Nettleman.
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
B, Koa Dang, 184 Common Street, 10 quail birds. Application plus supporting documentation, 9 pages, plus regulation, 3 pages. Mary Beth.
So again, I'm here to represent Mr. Dang for his request to obtain a permit for the keeping of 10 quail birds. These are strictly pets. He had a friend, or has a friend, that has quail birds. He raises them. And Mr. Dang thought that they were such pretty birds that he thought his young family would enjoy them. So he's requesting a permit for the keeping of them. He does live on Common Street, and the third page in on your packet, you have the area map that shows he's on the corner of Nicholas Road and Common Street. And he has gone ahead and notified all the direct abutters to him about his intention to request a permit for the keeping of the chickens. He has a coop that you have a picture in there of the proposed coop that he'd like to keep them in. And it would be 10 feet off of the rear property line, and he is even further off of the side property lines.
he's contacted 2 people.
Yeah, his direct abut, if you look at the mapping, he does have 2 direct abutters, and he has made notification. You have number 178 Common Street and number 12 Nicholas Road. He has made notification to both of the abutters.
Mary Beth, these are for outside, correct?
Correct, yeah. The
Okay.
pets, because I asked him, I said, well, I'm not that terribly familiar with quail. I mean, obviously I know they're a bird, but I asked, do they produce eggs? He said they do produce eggs, but it's not something that you would use on a daily basis to even consume. He's just getting them as pets.
Well, you know, it's funny, last night I said, oh, I better look up quails. So I just read very briefly. And the only thing I read was that the males are a little bit noisy. And, but that was the only thing I saw. So,
Well, that's good to hear. So if we do have a problem, then, we'll certainly be investigating noise issues associated with the animals. And if it's a concern, I would ask that Mr. Dang come back before the board.
right,
But he's using just the eggs.
no eggs.
I mean, he said they produce eggs, but it's not the egg, like they wouldn't necessarily consume the eggs. He said they're very, very small eggs.
Yeah, okay.
And the abutters were fine?
That they've received notification. I haven't heard back from any of the neighbors.
Okay.
Well, if you look it up, you either eat the bird or you eat the egg.
Well, I asked him, I said, is your intention is this the quail used for as a food source? And he said, oh God, I'm not going to eat them. And I said, okay, well, I can't say I'm not familiar with quail. Do they produce eggs? And he said they do, but it's not something that he feels is going to be, sustaining his egg, his egg storage in his house. He wants them for pets.
Fine, okay.
No
So,
problem.
I approve it.
I'll second the motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye,
and Dr. Bergoli
Yes.
and Dr. Nelman.
yes,
Thank you.
2, request for variance of lifeguard provision, A, Landing 53 Apartments, 26 Commercial Street, variance request, 2 pages, plus regulation, 1 page. Mary Beth.
So this is a repeat request for variance of lifeguard provision. Again, they're not open in the wintertime. It's an outdoor pool, but they do like to make sure that they are requesting their variance in a timely fashion. So this year last year was the first year that they were granted a swimming pool, a variance of the lifeguard provision for the swimming pool. And they were able to bring forth the data from last year for this year. And you did approve the variance request, although an unusual year because they weren't sure they were going to open or not. And they weren't allowed to open until a certain time frame based on the COVID requirements. But this is one of the few semi-public swimming pools in Braintree that did choose to open, and you have the data in front of you indicating from Wednesday, July 1st when they opened through Monday, September 7th when they closed, exactly what the data was by day in the number of persons that occupied the pool enclosure. And when I say you need to be aware that the requirements for COVID for swimming pools to open this year were very, very strict. No, everyone's 6 foot social distancing. When they're on the pool deck, they have to have a mask on. The equipment was removed. So if someone was going to come to the pool enclosure, they had to bring their own chairs because the requirement would be that each piece of equipment be cleaned between different use. And a lot of the establishments decided that then they just don't have the staff to keep going out cleaning all the equipment between patron use. So it was left to the patrons to bring their own equipment, which this pool they did. And you can see the results of the occupancy. It was a little bit lower than you've seen in past years, but that's to be expected given the coronavirus situation.
And the occupancy numbers is just people entering the area, not
The pool
not
enclosure,
being in the
yeah,
pool.
so they have the key card in, and the numbers you see in front of you are those that have key carded into the pool enclosure, which would be the pool deck and or the pool.
Okay,
Very good. I move it be approved.
I'll second the motion. All in favor? Aye.
Dr. Begoli
Yes.
and Dr. Nettleman,
Yes.
thank you.
Mary Beth, do you give permits for singular pools for, homeowners that put a pool in?
On the building side, we do. We issue building permits for in-ground and above-ground swimming pools. But on the health side, we do not regulate private swimming pools. The only regulations that we have on the health side are for public and semi-public swimming pools. So a semi-public swimming pool are those that you're finding in hotels, apartment complexes, and condos.
The kind that we're approving.
Yeah, right. So, and that's a semi-public swimming pool. A public swimming pool obviously would be something such as the Peterson pool when it's finished. That would be considered a public pool.
So who checks to see about the fencing and things like that in areas that people put a pool in?
Are you talking about a private residence?
Yes.
So that's part of the requirement for a final sign off on the building permit is the fencing has to be in place, or whatever the safety measures are for that property, they have to be in place.
So that's the building department.
Building department, right. But on the public and semi-public swimming pool, it would be both health and building because the health side is involved in permitting and inspecting public and semi-public swimming pools. But on the
Gotcha.
building side, of course, you're wanting to have a final building inspection, which would also include making observations and inspecting the fencing.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mary Beth, have we been doing a search for another member to join us?
The mayor is very well aware that there is a board, he needs to fill the position on the board. Actually, may I actually interrupt you, Dr. Begoli? I see that Mr. Tony Ferris is on the line from Landing 53. That's the swimming pool that you approved.
right.
So I don't know if you had any questions for him or wanted to ask anything of him. Tony, are you on the line?
I am, yep.
So the Board of Health just I reviewed your application request for variance with them. They reviewed all of the data that you provided and have gone ahead and approved the request for variance. So
Okay.
if you have any questions of them or myself, we're happy to answer, or if they have any questions of you. Can you kind of give a little overview, Tony, about your experience with opening the semi-public swimming pool during coronavirus?
Yeah, so if you can see from the log, we actually had like a delay. We typically open on Memorial Day weekend, but we didn't open until the first Monday after 4th of July. And we had just 10 pool chairs available for the residents to use. We kept them all 6 feet apart, and we actually hired a pool monitor for the summer. And they sanitized in between each use, 90-minute reservations. And it went pretty well. There wasn't as much activity, obviously, but it went well. We were able to keep it monitored and whatnot and safe. And then we shut it down right after Labor Day weekend. So I think the pool monitor was key, and the limited of 10 chairs was key as well. So
So you chose to keep the furniture in the pool enclosure?
we did, yep, just because we had a pool monitor on site who sanitized it between uses, between the 90-minute reservations.
Okay, so if
Yep.
a person didn't have a reservation, they were not allowed to use the pool enclosure?
Correct.
And
And
your
no-
pool enclosure is a key carded system. They need their key card to get into the pool enclosure, correct?
That is correct. Yep. It was
Okay.
only for residents only as well. No guests were allowed.
Okay.
Wow.
What's going on with the pool building up at the high school?
So thank you very much, Tony. We appreciate it.
Okay, guys, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Take care.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. So there was some discussion, the Mayor Kokoris brought forward just some updates on the Peterson Pool, and, they're looking to move forward to potentially looking at foundation work in January. And I know all of those details are still being worked out between the developer and the mayor's office and administration. So hopefully we'll see some movement in the near future as it continues to progress, because they've been trying to, up to this point, working out drainage concerns in that area. So that's what they've been focusing on.
Thank you very much.
So I did want to offer you a bit of an update. You see my reports every day on coronavirus on our daily
Yes.
report.
Yes, ma'am.
Yesterday was our highest day ever in Braintree at 44 cases. Today we were at 33 cases. So we're definitely seeing a spike. I don't believe that this is the full depth of what the spike is that we'll see, because we're really not capturing any gathering or travel activity yet from Thanksgiving. So I think that we'll probably, if we're going to see that, we would probably start seeing that early next week. And then as we go into Christmas, again, that's still a big concern. I am very concerned about the rise in the numbers. With Christmas coming up, again, you're starting to have that concern as well, people gathering and traveling over the Christmas holiday as well. So I think personally, I think we're definitely going to see some increased activity over the next month to 2 months.
Mary Beth, in relation to the things that the COVID vaccination, when would you anticipate that you actually receive a shipment?
So this morning, I forwarded to Dr. Nettleman as the town physician. The state health department and the CDC has sent documentation to the health department for us to register to be able to receive COVID-19 vaccine. Just to give you some understanding about how this works, in order to be a vaccine, I'll call us a vaccine depot from state supplied vaccine, or even the ability to offer vaccine, we need to have a registration agreement in place with the state health department as well, and with COVID as well as the CDC in this case. So I completed documentation to provide that registration agreement back to the state health department, and Dr. Nettleman and Mayor Kokoris, Dr. Nettleman as the chief health officer or medical officer, and Mayor Kokoris as the chief executive officer for the town, completed that documentation and forwarded to the state. So we formally registered to be able to receive COVID-19 vaccine. The state health department is informing that they don't necessarily see local health departments receiving shipments to be able to offer general vaccination clinics until the springtime.
So the spring.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, that's the latest we've heard. It's pretty fluid, so it's really subject to change depending upon how things continue. What information we are hearing is that when vaccine is made available, it will be distributed initially to medical personnel in hospitals and that sort of setting, to emergency first responders, and then start going into the elderly, long-term care and assisted living facility type settings, and then continuing on into the general population.
Have you requested a particular number?
We haven't, because the expectation is that it would be the entire population in Braintree. So I mean, they're talking, we still don't know, is it gonna be 2 doses? So you'd have to get a second dose, and at what intervals would that have to happen? Or is it a single dose? So there's a lot of information still coming out. It depends, on the manufacturer too. I don't know where the state's gonna be getting the vaccine from.
And storage is no problem.
Well, we do have our commercial vaccine refrigerator. And it's a fairly large refrigerator, so it can definitely support holding a lot of vaccine product. We do not have a freezer. So again, it really depends upon what the requirements are for the storage of the vaccine based on the manufacturer.
Well, this is 2 to 8 degrees centigrade.
Right, so we can support that in our commercial vaccine fridge that we have.
Okay, that's all the comments I have, Arthur.
No, I'm perfectly fine. Just wondering about, somebody would like to join the board, that's all.
So if there are persons interested in joining the board, they do have a talent bank form through the mayor's office that can be applied for. I know that the mayor he is aware that the position needs to be filled, and he has some interest in several individuals. So that's, yeah.
And
He hasn't forgotten about you.
the
That's okay.
mayor is aware of the requirements that we sort of drew up years ago of
Yes.
anyone joining the
Yes.
board.
Yes, yeah,
I don't know how
All
I
right.
got on.
yeah.
All right, I make a motion, the meeting be adjourned.
I'll second that motion.
Mary
Roll
Beth?
call, Dr. Bergoli,
Yes.
Dr. Nettleman.
Yes,
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
thank
Have a
you.
good
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year,
You
and I will
too.
see you all later.
Thank
All
you.
right, take
All right,
care.
bye,
Arthur.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you all. Take care. Merry
Too.
Christmas. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, let me leave.